Hello, welcome back to my channel. So today we will be looking at the Facehugger feature, and I will try my best to show you what I did and how that was built. So when you click in the Facehugger section, first you see like a normal scene. I would say like a default renderer. We have the post-processing specifically for this scene, and we have the 3D model that I'm using to overimpose in your face. And this was built in this temp scene here. So this is just a temporary scene, and it is pretty basic. I have the same facehugger model that I'm using for the facehugger yourself feature. Then I have an environment map with lightformers. If you never used lightformers before, I would really recommend you to do so because it is amazing. So if you don't know much about this, let me show you. So what you can do, let me remove everything and then let me show this as the background so you can understand what's happening. So I'm using the same environment map that I'm using for the spaceship, but in this case, I'm using just the light information, just so I could get the same kind of lights that I wanted, which is great. But you know, like in this scene, we are in the space, so this light is not enough. So what light formers can enable you to do, it's basically do like light painting. So I'm creating some panels, as you can see here, as the light source on many different colors and directions. And because I'm not using the background feature, all that we have is the light information. So the light former is fantastic, and there is no impact on performance at all. Because if you add more than one light source, and in this case I have no light sources at all, as you can see. So if I remove the environment, everything will be pitch black. So we have that light, but that is not a light source. That is lens flare. That is like a post-processing pass that I created with Nate. So there are no lights in the scene. Everything is pitch black because we have no lights. And the way you can light up a scene without using lights and without compromising performance, it is by using the environment component, which is default on gray, and it is dry. It is incredible. And then the other things we have here, it is the stars component. Again, default on dry, and then you can compose your scene like this. And again, the lens flare comes from the post-processing pass, which is here. Let me find it. Yeah, here. So we have a lot of things here, but just like in a brief, I'm using just a conditional render here. And for every scene, we have different settings. So I have this one for the spaceship. We have this one for the, I guess it is this scene here. No, this is the one that I'm using when you are actually using the facehugger, because I'm using the LUT viewer, and that makes everything red. And I'm using this one for this scene here. That's why you have, for example, the autofocus. When you go really close, you can see the depth of field effect on the finger, and then everything else is kind of blurred in the background. That is another component that I created for dry in the past, the autofocus, and it is available for everyone to use, and it is amazing. Yeah, and this is all for this temporary scene. And what I'm doing, I created a global state, and then I'm checking with the camera is allowed or not. And I'm just asking for the camera to be allowed when we click on that button. So that is the overlay component, rendering just a button. And the magic starts in this component here. So the view input, it is the component, and as you can see, it is outside the canvas. It is not inside the canvas because I'm creating this in the default React stuff. And the video input, it is basically doing a video like in the HTML side, and then I'm creating a ref, kind of a global ref. So I create the ref here, I export this ref, I set the same reference that I created here to be exported, and then I export this as a ref. And then inside here, I just have a use effect saying when the camera is allowed, meaning when I click on that button, then you set up the video. And then setup video is just an async function that creates basically the video for us using this reference here. And then you see the size, it is display known because I'm using this as a texture for the plane that I'm using on Three.js. And it is basically it for this component. And then once we have the camera allowed, as you can see here, this component will not render anymore, and this other component will render instead. So let me click here and say, okay, loading camera, and then hopefully, yeah, it works. So what we are seeing now, it is like my camera capturing my face, and as I move around using MediaPipe and TensorFlow, we can check for positions, rotations, scales when I move, when I open my mouth, for example. And it doesn't seem like, but this is actually a 3D scene. Let me show you. So if you go into this scene here, and then let me just use like the orbit controls, and I will enable the rotation, because I think I disabled the rotation in this one. Yeah, I think so. So let me see. Yeah, so see, you can see me talking like there. And this is actually a 3D scene. It doesn't seem like, because I'm making it like in a front, so you can see it better. And if I move my face closer, you can see it. But yeah, it is a 3D scene. By the way, this is my microphone. So yeah, let me turn it off again. And let me go back because I don't want to look at my face talking with this thing attached to me while I'm talking. It is kind of annoying. But yeah, what's happening in this component here, I'm creating basically a lot of references and a lot of rotation scales and matrices so I can position the model properly. Then I'm creating the references, and then this use effect here, it is the one responsible for triggering the textures. So basically it only runs when the video reference is available. And because it is available only when I click on that button saying face hug yourself, nothing happens here before we trigger this use effect. And this is a try catch because the video reference is not available when we first enter in the component. It will be available when the video input renders the video itself. Then we have this reference here being filled with the reference, and then I can use it here to do everything that I need to, which is basically creating like a detector reference for the media pipe. And I'm basically setting the texture on Three.js to be used on that plane that I'm using in the background to see what the camera can see. So again, this component is rendering a div with the video, not a texture. So we need to capture this result and then use this result as a texture for Three.js inside React 3 Fiber. And yeah, and then I say the camera is available. And when the camera is available, then we need to render and basically do everything that MediaPipe needs. I will not go through all of those things that are here because basically most of those things are from the documentation itself or from the React Tree Fiber examples. You can find a lot of examples using MediaPipe and TensorFlow with Three.js. But basically what I'm doing is like checking for the right eye and the left eye, the nose, top head and bottom chin, and like all of the basically pieces of the face that I want to track. And then I calculate the fan center, the normalized directions, apply the viewing scale, and centralize the object with the video, and then etc etc etc. The code goes on and on. And of course this will be available probably on my Patreon. I don't know exactly how and if I will be able to share this. But yeah, probably the source code will be available. But you can grab it from here if you want, or again, you can find examples on the dry and React Tree Fiber documentation. And so basically after this user frame happens, and it happens every frame on every frame that it's running, we are rendering the orbit controls, the facehugger model, which is being positioned by this render, like this ref here. Then we have the plane with the texture that I'm using on the camera. And then I have it again a little bit bigger because I want to fill the background with some color. And then again, we have the environment. And I would say the magic here, it is again the light former and the post-processing. So let me go back there. And if I go into the scene effects, and for example, if I disable this, then you see what is happening. So I'm using the color of the plane to be red already. It is so annoying that I'm talking and this thing is in front of me. But yeah, so let me change the color so you can see. So again, if I turn off the color, this is what you can see. It is like a double plane, a plane bigger in the background and then another plane in the front with my camera image. And on top of that, I'm using MediaPipe and TensorFlow to put this thing on my face. And then I'm using a reddish color to make everything red, but then I need the model itself to be red. And I don't want to play with the model and change the colors of the model. So the easiest way for me was to use the LUT, the lookup table post-processing, and then it makes everything look like reddish and black and white kind of, which is great. It was the kind of look and feel that I was looking for. But you can adjust and do whatever you want and use any kind of color adjustment you want. Uh, and I think that's all. Let me go back again. And the saving feature, this is already present on my course. So if you go into the Udemy, I have a course there teaching that t-shirt configurator that I created with Paul Henshaw. And we are doing the same thing here. So the take photo is just an overlay button that captures the reference for the canvas. And that's why I have the class name canvas here. I grab the canvas, and then because this is preserved drawing buffer true, when I ask for the code to create an image out of this, it captures this reference and takes everything that this renderer can see and saves as a PNG file on my computer. But yeah, so that's it. I hope this will be helpful. Please subscribe and share with your friends. I hope I will be able to do more things like this with the past projects that I created. So please subscribe, share with your friends, share with your community. And if this has been helpful, please drop a comment below, okay? Thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.